ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पतानः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनं श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। Om. Dear friends, in the last class we completed the 17th shloka along with Bhashyam, 17th shloka of 6th chapter, and then I just read out this 18th shloka. Yada viniyatam chittam atmanyeva vatisthate nispruhas sarvakamebhyah yukta ityuchyate tada. So we are talking about the sannyasi, a sannyasi who has graduated from this karma yoga and then he has left off that karma yoga. He has also practiced dhyana yoga, and then in this shloka he is a person who has reached the final stage of that samadhi. That person is being described. So this gentleman, yada viniyatam chittam, it is totally absolutely under control. What is that viniyatam? We are going to see. Viniyatam is, it is totally completely controlled, it is restrained. Atmanyeva avatisthate, Atmaniyeva, that is in the idea of that Brahman, in the idea of that Atman, in that Brahma consciousness only, avatisthate, it stays there, it is stabilized there. Then nispruhaha sarva kamebhyah nispruhaha, from all other desires, from all other anxieties, it is totally withdrawn. And then all the trishna, nispruha, spruha is trishna or desire, all these desires have vanished. Then at that stage he is called yukta. Yukta iti uchyate tada. Tada means then. Yuktaha, that is one who is yoked in that particular sthiti, samadhi sthiti. Iti uchyate, it is said. So yukta, when is a person called yukta? When all other desires have gone, when your chittam is totally under control and in that Brahman awareness, when you are in that Brahman awareness, so you are called a yukta. So that is the meaning here. Let us read the Bhashyam. Yada viniyatam chittam visheshena niyatam sanyatam ekagratam apannam chittam. So here viniyatam, he is explaining. Viniyatam, that is Visheshena Niyatam. V plus Niyatam. V is an upasarga. Niyatam is a word. Ni again is a upasarga. Yata. It is basically from the Yama dhatu, Yama root. So Viniyatam, Visheshena Nissamshayam Yatam. That is totally under control. What is that meaning? That is rejecting all other Bahya experiences, rejecting all other sensory experiences. In fact, Madhusudana Saraswati, as I have been telling, he is again one of the commentators on Gita. This book contains that Shankara Bhashyam, Nilakanta, Madhusudana and some other Bhashyams also. But this Madhusudana Saraswati, who is the writer of that Advaita Siddhi, he has written elaborate commentary on this 6th chapter, taking extensively from Patanjali Yoga Darshana. We should remember that Patanjali Yoga Darshana and say our Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta, that is non-dualism, they don't agree at the final level. They don't agree at the final level, at the doctrinal level. When we see the doctrine of yoga and Sankhya, they are one and the same. When you see the doctrine of Sankhyas and Yogas, and when we see the doctrine of Vedanta, at the final level, we don't agree. Because at the final level, we say that it is total non-duality. Whereas at the final level, they accept two things. That is, one sentient and another insentient. Prakriti, Purusha, which is the intelligence, and Prakriti, which is inert. Intelligence versus inert. Prakriti versus Purusha. That is what they accept. And this Purusha is somebody who is enjoyer, who is also the Bhokta. Whereas in the case of Advaita, we accept only one principle, which is that Shuddha Chaitanyam, which is neither a Karta nor a Bhokta nor anything. Then that Chaitanyam alone is there, and that Chaitanyam alone manifests as matter. Our Siddhanta, our non-dual philosophy says Chaitanyam alone manifests as matter, whereas Sankhya and other people, they say that there are two entities called, one is Chit and one is Jada. One is sentient, one is non-sentient, insentient. So that is the thing. But then they have come up to one level. That is, they have come up to the level of saying that Atma is a drashta, this Purusha is a drashta. So he is a seer. To that level they have come. And then the practices of yoga. Practices of yoga are the same as which are described in the Gita. The Buddhists, they adopt the same practices. Buddhists also they have yoga. Jains have yoga. All other philosophies, Indian philosophies, they do have some element of yoga which is basically integrated into their system. Whether it is Shaivism or Vaishnavism or whether it is anything, whether it is non-dual say philosophy like Advaita Vedanta and Advaita Sadhana, this Brahma, this Yoga Sadhana for Brahma Prapti, all these things they have integrated these practices because that was probably the common knowledge. That was the common knowledge of all the schools. So that is why Madhusudana has extensively quoted from all these Yoga Sutra wherever they are applicable. Because yoga, so long as it does not come to that doctrinal level, it is totally acceptable for Vedanta. So that is what Shankaracharya also says in say this Brahma Sutra Bhashya. Except that final point, all other points 90% we do accept. What all the yoga, what all these people say about self-control, all these things, because they have told in such a nice manner. In Vedanta, we don't find a similar text containing all these yoga principles in such a very aphoristic style. So that aphoristic style is there in what is this Patanjali Yoga Sutra. So that is why if those who are interested to know more, they can read this Madhusudani Vyakhya also. And luckily there is one good translation also which is available. That is Gambhirananda's translation which is printed by this Ramakrishna Mission people. So that also somebody can see in addition to what is this, what Shankara Bhashyam we are reading. Here for this word Viniyatam, Madhusudana Saraswati says that is Sarvashunyatam Apaditam. That is, he also says, he also compares it with what Patanjali calls the Asampragnata Samadhi. Asampragnata Samadhi is where all this Sampragnata is one where you have got a focus. You have focused your mind on a particular thing and you are seeing that particular thing. So that is something, some Dhyaya Vastu, that object on which you are meditating, that thing is at least it is in your mind. Whereas Asampragnata is a state where even your mind disappears. You are in that state of awareness, that's all. You are in that state of awareness. To simply explain, for example, you go into a dark room. You do not know what are all the objects in a dark room, and you light a lamp. And you light a lamp and then you see this, and then you suppose you focus on a particular thing and then okay, you do that, attain that focus, that dharana on a particular thing. But then we are forgetting the light which is illumining all that. We are basically forgetting the light which is illumining all the things. So this Asampragnata is a stage where you just remain as simple awareness. Simple awareness or simple intelligence as we call it, simple consciousness. In that state of consciousness, what Tattvavidananda ji calls space like awareness, what he says. Of course, he quotes his guru, that is Swami Dayananda, he quotes saying that it is called space like awareness. He remains in that particular state. Because we have come across two words called Samanya Jnanam and Vishesha Jnanam. In what is this Upanishad Bhashyam, in Kathopanishad Bhashyam, we came across two words called Samanya Jnanam and Vishesha Jnanam. Vishesha Jnanam is the Jnanam which is obtained by the senses. When I look at an object, I am the cognizer, I am the seer, and there is a Drishyam. Drishyam versus Druk. I am the Druk or the seer, whereas there is a Drishyam, there is an object. I cognize it. So that is the say pattern there. So that is a Vishesha Jnanam. So then I see one pot, I see some pen, I see some other glass. These are all Vishesha. There is some specificity with the specific nature of that. I see a pen means I have only knowledge of a pen. When I see Ghatam means when I see that knowledge of Ghatam only. So that is a Vishesha Jnanam, that is an exclusive specialized knowledge. Whereas there is what is called Samanya Jnanam, when all these Jnanams disappear. In, for example, Sushupti, in deep sleep. In deep sleep, you are in a state of happiness, you are in that state of bliss, which you realize after you wake up. So there again, that state of bliss is very much there. So there, that Jnanam which is there, that is the Vishesha Jnanam. Samanya Jnanam. That Samanya is something which is the light which is actually illumining all other things. So you are in that level of awareness. You have discarded all other sensory perceptions. So that is what say Madhusudana Saraswati says. He says, Viniyatam Visheshena Niyatam Sarva Shunyatam Apaditam Chittam. Sarva Shunyatam Apaditam. It has rejected all other sensory experiences. So that is the meaning of Viniyatam. Chittam Visheshena Niyatam Samyatam. Well under control, you have discarded all other sensory experiences. Then Ekagratam Apannam Chittam. That you have that retained that level of concentration. Concentration means that state of awareness you have reached. Then Hitva Bahya Chintam Atmanyeva Kevale Avatishthate. So Bahya Chintam Hitva. Bahya Chinta means thinking about all other external objects. Bahya Chintam Hitva. Hitva means having rejected. Having rejected Atmanyeva Kevale. That is Kevale Atmanyeva. In that Atma consciousness only. In that Atman consciousness only Avatishthate. He stays firm. He stays firm. Then Swatmani Sthitim Labhate Ityarthaha.
Swatmani Sthitim Labhate Ityarthaha.
So he stays in that, he remains stable in that, in his own self. In his own self means in that knowledge, in that awareness. Then Nispruhaha Sarva Kamebhyaha Nirgata Drushta Vishayebhyaha Spruha Trishna Yasya Yoginaha Sa Yuktaha Samahita Ityuchyate Tada Tasmin Kale. So at that time he is called a Yukta. Tada means Tasmin Kale, at that particular time. Then he is, again one more qualification was there. That is Sarva Kamebhyaha Nispruhaha. He is explaining the word Nispruha. Nirgata Spruha Yasmat Sa Nispruhaha. What is that? Nirgata. Spruha means I said, which is Trishna, desire. From what? Drushta Adrushta Vishayebhyaha. This word also we have come across earlier. Drushta Vishaya are those which are seen in this world. Adrushta Vishaya which are described in your Puranas, which are described in your books as the Swargam and then all the pleasures of the Swarga. All those things, from all those things, Trishna Nirgataha Yasya Sa Yoginaha, Yasya Yoginaha Sa Yuktaha. Then he is called Samahita. He is one person who is in that Samadhi. Then Drushta Vishayebhya Spruha means Dosha Darshanena. That is by seeing their impermanence, by seeing all the faults, by seeing all the faults which are associated with all these Vishayas, then this man has discarded all those things. So that is the meaning here. Then next shloka, next line, Tasya Yoginaha Samahitam Yat Chittam Tasya Upama Uchyate. So this yogi has attained a particular state. Then Lord Krishna wants to give a sort of simile. He wants to compare it with something. He wants to compare it, that yogi's mind, with something else. What is that comparison? Let us read the shloka. Yatha Deepo Nivatastho Nengate Sopama Smruta Yogino Yatachittasya Yunjato Yogamatmanaha. So here he says, Yatha Deepaha Nivatasthaha Na Ingate. Nengate is to be split as Na Ingate. Sa Upama. Sopama means Sa Upama Smruta. Yoginaha Yatachittasya Yunjataha Yogam Atmanaha. Then we have to read in this particular shloka, the word order we have to read from the last word. Atmanaha, in the second line you see, Atmanaha Yogam Yunjataha. Atmanaha means in that Atman means in that Atman awareness, Yogam Yunjataha, one who is trying to stabilize himself, one who is practicing, one who is trying, one who is endeavoring to stabilize himself, to place himself. And then for that man, Yoginaha Yatachittasya, that once he attains that particular state, then what is the comparison? Then Deepaha Nivatasthaha Deepaha. Nivata. Vata, we know. Vayu. Vayu is air. Vatam means that is breeze. Nivata is breezeless. That is breezeless stage. Nivatastha deepaha. A deepa, a lamp. Lamp again signifies intelligence also. Lamp again signifies knowledge, intelligence, awareness, consciousness. So all that, it symbolizes all that. So deepaha nivatastha. The lamp which is say in that breezeless state, yatha, tat, then na ingate, yatha na ingate, na chalati. Ingate means chalati. Ingita jnanam, we know. Ingita jnanam. Ingitam means any movement. Any movement is ingitam. Ingitam is movement. Ingita jnanam means that is by seeing his body you understand. By seeing his chesta, by seeing his bodily movements, you know what is his disposition. In other words, simply what we call body language. Ingita jnanam simply means body language. So ingita jnanam, we come across people who say, vadiki ingita jnanam ledu, this fellow does not have ingita jnanam, we say. Ingita jnanam means, so he is not able to observe the body language of people. He is not able to understand how the other man is disposed to you. so that is the meaning. So here ingate means moves. Na ingate means does not move. Yatha deepaha nivatastha na ingate means just as a lamp which is in a breezeless area does not move. So that lamp is the upama. Deepaha sa upama. Upama is simile. There is a figure of speech in all languages, of course, simile. Oh, this the most common simile used is, oh, her face looks like the moon, or her face looks like the rose, something like that. So these are common similes. So there sa upama smruta. So that is in all it is very well established in all smrutis and in every place. So this is a common simile which is used in various texts. So that is why he says that is the sa upama smruta. This is the image, or this is the metaphor, or not exactly metaphor. This is the simile which is mentioned by all people. So that is the shloka. Shloka is simple, I think. You have followed the shloka. Yatha deepaha nivatastha means staying in a breezeless place. Na ingate sa upama smruta. Yata chittasya yoginaha yogam atmanaha yunjataha. That is the thing. Let us read the bhashyam. Yatha deepaha pradipaha nivatastho nivate vatavarjite deshe sthitaha nengate na chalati sa upama upamiyate anaya iti upama yogajnaihi chitta prachara darshibhihi smrta chintita. So the first line is being explained. Yatha deepaha pradipaha. Deepa means a well-lit lamp, let us say. Pradipaha. Pra plus deepaha. Pradipaha means a well-lit lamp. Nivatasthaha. Nivate vatavarjite deshe. Vatavarjita means windless or breezeless. Breezeless place. Desha means place. Desha does not mean a country. Desha is a place. Vatavarjite deshe sthitaha. Sthitaha which is there, located there. Na ingate does not move. Then sa upama. That is the upama. That is the simile. That is the comparison, let us say. Then upamiyate anaya iti upama. Upama, again that word upama also he is explaining. Upamiyate anaya iti upama. That is, with this you are comparing something. You are comparing x with y. So that is called upama. When you are comparing something with something else, that is called upama. Then yogajnaihi. This also we read. Yogajnaihi. Yogajna means one who has practiced yoga, one who knows yoga. Yogajna. Shastrajna is one who knows Shastra. Something else, Shastrajna, what other things are there? Abhignya, he is somebody who knows well. So Yogajna is somebody who knows the yoga. That is one who has practiced yoga. Not people like, say, who have theoretically read these things, not we who are still practitioners, but this Yogajnaihi, one who are experienced, one who are experts. And what is that Yogajna? Chitta prachara darshibhihi. Chitta pracharam. What is this chitta prachara? Chitta is mind. Prachara is the movement. Pra plus charati. Chara dhatu, the meaning of chara dhatu, what is the meaning of chara dhatu? Chara is movement. Chara actually it gives two meanings. Of course, chara gati bhakshanayo, it gives two meanings. One is eating and one is movement. But here, of course, not eating, it is movement. Chitta prachara, that is which the mind moves everywhere. The other day I was telling that word vritti. That vritti, this prachara, vritti is when you look at an object, in your mind an impression is, an idea, a thought is formed. That particular thought is called vritti, chitta vritti. So chitta vrittis, they keep on floating, object to object, object to object, they keep on floating, and the mind keeps on evaluating, assimilating them, and then forming its own conclusions. So all these things happen in the mind. All these things are chitta pravaha. It is a flow, it is a stream of consciousness, it is a stream of thoughts. So that is what is the chitta pravaha. So chitta prachara darshibhihi, that is the by those experts. This is the meaning that is given. So that means the nivatastha deshe, like just as the lamp does not flicker, this man is in that Brahman awareness. So then again, say our Madhusudana Saraswati, he also gives another explanation. That is, not Madhusudana Saraswati, another commentator called Bellamkonda Ramarai Kavi, he says, Na chalati. For that na chalati, he also says, this yogi, he is remaining in that state of drashta. He is in that pure self-awareness. He is in that awareness. He is remaining as Shuddha Chaitanya, Shuddha awareness only. And even if some movements are seen in him, that movement is something which belongs to the body-mind complex and not to him. That is adhyaropita chalanam, he says. Adhyaropita chalanam, he is okay. A saint is a jnani, or this person, a realized person, suppose he is moving. That movement is something which is it is something which is adhyaropam, it is something which is superimposed on him, but then he is in that Brahman consciousness. Whatever he does, ashdan, shrunvan, pashyan, jigran, so we saw that whatever activities he does, he is only looking at them as a drashta. He is only looking at them as indriyani indriyartheshu vartante. All these activities of the body-mind complex, they are going on. I am the drashta. So he is in that level of awareness. So that is what Nat Ramaraya Kavi says. So yogagnaihi chitta pracharadarshibhi smruta chintita. Smruta means chintita. Chintita means that is what they evaluate. Then yoginaha. Then yata chittasya sanyatantah karanasya yunjataha yogam anutishthataha atmanah samadhim anutishthata ityarthaha. So yoginaha means for that yogi means the person who is attained that samadhi. Yoginaha is Shashti Vibhakti. For that person who has attained that asamprajnata samadhi. Again, Madhusudana Saraswati explains, that is, he is in that asamprajnata samadhi state. Then yoginaha, then yata chittasya samyatantah karanasya. So he has rejected all other thoughts, and then he is in that like a state of awareness. Then yunjataha yogam anutishthataha. Yunjataha means practicing yoga. Yogam anutishthataha means practicing. Anusthana means practice. Anutishthataha means of that person who is practicing. This is all these things are in Shashti Vibhakti. Anutishthataha. Then atmanah samadhim anutishthataha ityarthaha. Atmanah samadhim. Then atmanah samadhim means, here it does not mean the mind. Atma vishayaka samadhi. Atma vishayaka samadhi means, in that samadhi only Atma is the subject matter there. That is Atman consciousness. He is in that consciousness only. Atma vishayaka chitta samadhi. That is what that is the definition, that is the explanation given by Madhusudana. So atmanah samadhi manutishthataha atma vishayakam chitta samadhanam. So he is in that state of awareness only. So that is the meaning here. Samadhanam anutishthataha ityarthaha. Then next line. Evam yogabhyasa balad ekagri bhutam nivata pradeepa kalpam sat then that is in this manner, evam, in this manner, yoga abhyasa balat, by constant practice of this yoga, yoga abhyasa balat, by the strength, bala is strength, by the strength or by the by the strength of this constant practice of this yoga. Abhyasa is a constant practice. Then what happens? Ekagri bhutam nivata pradeepa kalpam sat. Ekagri bhutam, it is now in that state of awareness only. It is in just ekagri bhutam, is just focused on that thing only and nothing else. Then nivata pradeepa kalpam, it is comparable to that lamp in that breezeless state. Then sat, then he is again describing that particular state of mind, a realized state of mind he is describing. Let us read the shloka. Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya yatra chaiva atmanatmanam pashyan atmani tushyati. So he is, this shloka, yatra means when, at that time, at the time when, so that is what it means. This shloka and also next shloka, Sukhamatyantikam vetti yatra cha nachaivayam yam labdhva cha param labham, the 22nd shloka. This 20th shloka to 23rd shloka are one single sentence. The shloka, now we are reading the 20th shloka, 20, 24, 21, 22, 23. They are all one shloka and one line, let us say, one sentence, let us say. Because where the mind is like this, where he is so controlled, where he is like that, so that state is called, that is describable to something, that is comparable to something else. So what is that line? Sanischayena yoktavyaha yogo nirvinna chetasa. Now that state should be called dukkha sanyoga viyogam yoga sangnitam, that is in 23rd shloka. So these 4 shlokas, they form one full sentence. So this sentence is, this shloka is rather incomplete. Where the mind is like this, where the person is in that self-awareness, awareness of this Atma consciousness, it stops there. Then the next 2 shlokas also continue like that. This shloka, let me see. Yatra, if we see the division of words, yatra uparamate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya niruddham yatra cha eva atmana atmanam pashyan atmani tushyati. So that is what is the splitting of the words. Then the meaning is like this. Yoga sevaya means by constant practice of this yoga. Then chittam niruddham sat, that is the mind is properly controlled. Niruddham, yoga chitta vritti nirodha vino. Yoga, that means that is all these chitta vrittis, all these thought processes, the whole stream of this thought, stream of thought or consciousness, all that has been stopped. Niruddham. Then yatra uparamate, at the time when that chittam, mind becomes tranquil. Uparamate. Uparati means withdrawal from all the things, withdrawals from all the sensory objects. Yatra uparamate. Then yatra chaiva. Cha means and. Yatra atmanameva pashyan. Atmanameva pashyan. Atmana means antahkarana. One atma means antahkarana. One atma means paramatma. With this antahkarana, because antahkarana is the only tool to know the paramatma. There is no other tool. So because this is something which is not cognized everywhere elsewhere, it has to be cognized in oneself only. Then atmanam pashyan. Atmanam eva pashyan. This eva also has to be taken there. Yatra cha eva atmanam means atmanam eva pashyan. That is where this man is able to know or realize that Atman through one's own antahkarana. In that stage, then Pashyan Atmani Tushyati, where he is very happy in that Atman awareness. Tushyati means he is happy. Tushyati, happy. Tosham, Santosha. Tosham. Tushyati means he is happy. Atmani Tushyati means in that state of Paramananda Ghana, in that state of Atma Ananda, the self which is called Ananda. So that is the meaning here. So a state where the mind has become tranquil by constant practice of yoga, and the stage where say he is able to perceive the Atman by his own, through his own, by his own antahkarana, and then in that state of Atma he is very happily stationed. So that is the sentence here. The sentence means part of the sentence. Let us read the Bhashyam. Yatra
यत्र
Yasmin Kale
यस्मिन् काले
Uparamate Chittam
उपरमते चित्तं
Uparatim Gacchati
उपरतिं गच्छति
Niruddham
निरुद्धं
Sarvato Nivarita Pracharam
सर्वतो निवारितप्रचारं
Yogasevaya
योगसेवया
Yoganushthanena
योगानुष्ठानेन
Yatra Chaiva
यत्र चैव
Yasmin Kale.
यस्मिन् काले
So this line we will read later. So we will read only half the line. Yatra Yasmin Kale Uparamate. No, we have read this. At the time when, Yatra means Yasmin Kale, at the time when, Uparamate, that is Chittam Uparatim Gacchati. Chittam is Antahkaranam. Uparatim Gacchati, that means Chittam becomes tranquil. How? Withdrawn from all other things. Niruddham. Niruddham means, as I said, like Madhusudana Saraswati is again commenting that Nirindhanagnivat upashamyan nirvruttikataya, that he says nirvruttikataya, that is all the vruttis have been eradicated, all the vruttis have been expelled, or they have been driven away from the mind. So for this a lot of practice only is required. This is something which you and I we are easily saying and we are easily reading out, but then this is where a lot of practice is required in order to drive away your thoughts. Because every day it is our experience that we sit for some dhyanam and then the mind gets all other, because some mind becomes something like a clearing house at that time. Because at all other time you are doing something or the other and then the mind is concentrating on the work which you are doing. But then when you sit for dhyanam, that is the time when the mind, there is no physical work, then all other thoughts, all other pending works, they enter the mind. So that is the thing. So it is a very, this is something which is only known to somebody who is practicing yoga and who is achieving a particular level, who has achieved a particular level in that yoga. So that is the thing. Niruddham sarvatah nivarita pracharam. He says sarva vrutti nirodha. The yoga definition itself is chitta vrutti nirodha. So that is nirindhanagnivat. So you are putting, suppose you are putting some fuel into the fire. The more you put fuel, the more it will be burning. Suppose you withdraw the whole fire, all this say sticks, etc., all this coal and all these stupid things you withdraw, then the fire has to subside. So nirindhanagni, where that indhanam, where the fuel, indhanam means fuel, that indhanam, that fuel has been withdrawn, and then this coal, this fire subsides. So that is what is the state of this chitta, this niruddha, that is niruddha sthiti, is that where you have withdrawn your mind from all those things, not forcibly, but by seeing their futility, by seeing their ephemeral nature. So that is the meaning here. Sarvatah niruddham sarvatah nivarita pracharam. This word pracharam we are again seeing. Pracharam is moving about here and there, the mind moving about here and there. Then yoga sevaya yoganushtanena, by constant practice of this yoga. So we are now seeing the state of a realized person who is in that state of awareness. Then yatra chaiva yasmin kale atmana samadhi parishuddhena antahkaranena atmanam param chaitanya param Chaitanya Jyotiswarupam Pashyan Upalabhamanaha Swayeva Atmani Tushyati Tushtim Bhajate. Okay, he says Yatra Chaiva, moreover, at the time when, Yatra Cha Eva, Cha is and, moreover, at the time when Atmana Samadhi Parishuddhena Antahkaranena. So Atmana means by Antahkarana. What type of Antahkarana? That is Samadhi Parishuddhena Antahkaranena. This process of Samadhi also purifies the Antahkarana. So this is something which is giving that highest result, but at the same time when you are practicing, it is also purifying your thought, because this Ashtanga Yoga contains so many steps. The first is physical level. The second is gradually from the physical level you are entering to the mental level. For example, if you take this yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, etc., the yama is something which is relating to the external behavior. Then niyama is something which is behavior, which is relating to the internal conduct. That is your own, say how honest you are with yourself. So that is that niyama. Then asana, it is again a physical level. Pranayama is again a physical level. Then pratyahara, withdrawing all these things by proper viveka, by proper discrimination. And then it starts dharana, dhyana, samadhi. These three things are at the mind level, antahkarana level. The first five are physical level. Or pratyahara also to some extent, intellect, mind, relating to the mind, because the mind only has to evaluate whether what is real and what is unreal. So to some extent that is also it is understood. So we start with the body, controlling the body, and then we go to the level of the mind. So this samadhi process, this process of samadhi, it gradually purifies the mind. So samadhi parishuddhena antahkaranena. By this antahkarana which has been purified over a course of time by constant abhyasa of this yoga, then param is that supreme. Param is supreme. Param Chaitanya Jyoti Swarupam. He is very, very clearly saying, leaving, no doubt, Chaitanya Jyoti Swarupam. That is this consciousness or awareness which is of the nature of that brilliance, Jyoti. I have been telling that one whole Brahmanam in Brihadaranyaka is devoted for this. It is called Jyotir Brahmanam. It's a very interesting and fairly big Brahmanam which one has to read. Jyoti Swarupam. What is that Jyoti which is illumining all things? What is the Jyoti which is appearing all other things? He is that supreme consciousness only. So he is seeing that Tat. Param actually, then this Anandagiri is also pointing out that this Tvam Padartha, this Antahkarana which is called Tvam Padartha, he is seeing that Tat Padartha. That is, he is in this particular line, Yatra Chaiva Atmanatmanam Pashyannatmani Tushyati, he is saying that Tat Tvamasi, that meaning is being told by this line. That is what this Anandagiri is commenting. Atmana is Antahkaranena, that is that Tvam Padartha. Then Atmani Tushyati, that is in that state of consciousness, Brahma awareness, that is Chaitanya Jyoti Swarupam. In that Jyoti Swarupa he stays. That is the Tat Padartha. So that Tat and Tvam, this Tvam Padartha, this individual is realizing that he is nothing else than that consciousness. Then Chaitanya Jyoti Swarupam Pashyan Upalabhamanaha. Upalabhamanaha means by realizing it. Swayeva Atmani, in one's own self, Tushyati, Tushtim Bhajate. Tushtim Bhajate means he is happy. He is happy that that Brahmananda is supposed to be the Brahma is very Swarupa of Atma is Ananda. Atma is said to be the Ananda Swarupa, and all other Anandas which we derive from the Vishayas, they are only some small samples of that Vishayananda, that's some Swarupananda. Atma by nature, Swarupa by nature means it's very Swarupa, its very nature is Ananda, Ananda Swarupa. Then all other pleasures which we get, these are just mere samples of the Atmananda. So that is the thing here. Then Kincha, let us read this shloka. Sukham atyantikam yattat buddhigrahyam atindriyam vetti yatra cha nachaivayam Sthitas-chalati tatvatah. So sukham atyantikam dukkham. Sukham atyantikam yattat buddhigrahyam atindriyam vetti yatra nachaivayam sthitas-chalati tatvatah. So this shloka is again coming to this Vishayananda versus Swarupananda. I have been telling about this Vishayananda and Swarupananda. And I have also been telling the theory that, not my theory, it is Upanishad. What Upanishad says, that Ananda is something which is not contained in an object. If an object contains Ananda, in fact, a wonderful example is given in one book. Suppose a lion sees a lioness, or suppose a tiger sees a tigress, and tiger immediately gets interested in that because wants to befriend it and runs after the tigress. So tigress is the object for happiness. So if that of happiness is there in the tigress, you and I also should run behind it. Whereas we don't run behind a tigress. Only a tiger runs behind a tigress, and then you and I, we don't run behind a tigress. So Ananda is something which is particular to a particular jiva in a particular condition. In a particular condition only, Vruddhasya Taruni Visham. There is again a saying, young woman is something like a poison to an old man. Vruddhasya Taruni Visham. So this is something which is incompatible. So like that, a particular object does not contain happiness. It is the man, it is the Swarupananda which is being satisfied when you are looking at an object. That Ichcha is a sort of Vritti. Ichcha, you desire, is a sort of Vritti. And then that desire is supposed to be with the product of Rajoguna. And then suppose you have that object, and then the Sattva Guna which is in you, Sattva Guna is the manifestation of Ananda. Ananda manifests through that Sattva Guna only. The Sattva Guna receives that particular Ananda, and then you feel that you are happy. And then the same object will not give you happiness at all times. If you eat 10 ice creams, that happiness is gone. Then there is no question of happiness in that. So Ananda is not there in that say Vishaya, but then Ananda is in one's own self. So and then Ananda is also there during Sushupti, when all these Vishayas, when all these sense organs are absent, when all the sense organs are taking rest, when all these things are taking rest also, there is Ananda, which the Vedantin holds, Vedantin cites it to show that Atma's nature is that of Ananda. The very Swarupam, the very nature of Atma is Ananda. And then all other things is only a reflection of that. And then we see that people, they are not happy with the things alone. People who are very contented, they are very, very happy. For example, happiness index we see, we come across one word called development index and also happiness index. There are two indices which are prepared nowadays. One is a human development index. So which are the countries which are so developed, who is having a fridge, who is having an AC, who is having a car, who is having this, that is a human development index. But what about happiness? The people who are most happy are highly content, they are the highly contented people staying somewhere in Bhutan, where a fellow he is sitting under a tree, happily meditating and then very happily looking after his cattle, and then he is very, very happy. So happiness, human happiness index, I am told the Bhutan stands very, very high. Indians are also pretty high in that happiness index because you and I were highly contented. So happiness index, the highest thing is in Bhutan. So like that, it is not from the Vishayas only that a man derives Ananda, it is by rejecting desires, by not allowing desires, by being contented. So this is what is a truth, it is a fact, it is not something which is imposed on us, it is something which is a fact. So that is what is mentioned in this shloka. Sukham atyantikam yat tat buddhigrahyam atindriyam. He is talking about that Brahmananda, which is something which is atindriyam. Let us see the last word first. Atindriyam. Atindriyam means indriya atitam. That is beyond the cognition of the senses, beyond perception, beyond sensory perception. We have got 5 senses, all the 5 senses cannot receive this particular Ananda. Then how is it grasped or how is it attained? Buddhigrahyam. Buddhigrahyam means it can be only known by the mind. Known by the mind, okay, even sensory perception also is known by the mind. You see, when you eat some ice cream, even that also, that happiness is known by the mind. Then what is this thing? Buddhigrahyam atindriyam. Then even without any intervention of these indriyas, this is something which is understood, which can be understood only by the mind. All other things, they are understood by the senses, through the mediation of the senses. But here there is no mediation of the senses, and this is understood only by a. Just now we read one word, parishuddhena antahkaranena. By one purified antahkarana, by one antahkarana or mind which has been purified through the process of yoga. Buddhigrahyam, then atindriyam. Then what type of sukham is it? Sukham atyantikam. Atyantikam means that which has no end. Atyantikam, infinite. All other sukhams, all other happiness, all other types of happiness, there is an end to that. There is a beginning, there is an end. This happiness, there is no beginning, there is no end. This is something which is infinite. Atyantikam. Yat tat, that particular thing, you are tat vetti. Yat atyantikam sukham vartate, tad vetti. Tat has to be connected with the next line, vetti. That he knows, that particular one, once he knows. Yatra nachaiva, nacha eva, ayam yogi. Ayam is this particular yogi. Sthitaha chalati tattvataha. Na sthitaha, yatra sthita san. Where, located in which place, this man does not move hither and thither. Yatra sthitaha, yatra has to be connected to sthitaha. Yatra sthitaha, na chalati tattvataha. From his, from that state of tattvam. Tattvataha means from that awareness. Tattva swarupat. Tattvataha means tattva swarupat. When in that Brahman awareness he is there. From that Brahman awareness he does not move. The words are very, very small words connected to distantly located words. So these connections we have to see. So sukham atyantikam yat sukham vartate tat vetti. This tat has to be connected to the next line. Tat vetti. He knows. Vetti means he knows. Then yatra cha. Yatra has to be connected to cha. This na has to go to na chalati. Ayam means this particular na cha eva ayam. There are 4 letters there. Na cha eva ayam. 4 words rather. Na cha eva ayam. Na cha eva ayam. Ayam is this particular man, this particular yogi. Na chalati. Tattvataha na chalati. So from that state of awareness he does not move away. He does not waver. So that is the meaning. Is the shloka clear?
Yes.
Then let us read the bhashyam. Sukham iti.
Sukham iti.
Sukham atyantikam.
Sukham atyantikam.
Atyantameva bhavati ityatyantikam.
Atyantameva bhavati iti atyantikam.
Anantam ityarthaha.
Anantam ityarthaha.
So sukham atyantikam. Atyantikam means that is something which has no end. Atyantikameva bhavati. It is altogether, it is there only, sukham only is there. There is no beginning, no end. That is anantam. Anantam is endless. That is infinite. Ityarthaha. Yat tat.
Yat tat.
Which that which buddhi grahyam.
Buddhi grahyam.
Buddhyaiva.
Buddhyaiva.
Buddhyaiva means buddhya plus eva. Buddhya is trutiya. Eva. Buddhya plus eva becomes buddhyaiva. Buddhyaiva.
Buddhyaiva.
Indriya nirapekshaya.
Indriya nirapekshaya.
Gruhyate iti.
Gruhyate iti.
Buddhi grahyam.
Buddhi grahyam.
Buddhya eva indriya nirapekshaya. Indriya nirapeksha means without the intervention of these indriyas, without the apeksha, without the necessity or without the need of these indriyas, this is cognized. Not cognized, this is understood. Gruhyata. This is understood. Cognition is different. Cognition and perception are different, and this is understanding. This is understanding is different from cognition. So this buddhyaiva gruhyata iti buddhi grahyam. Then atindriyam.
Atindriyam.
Indriya gocharatitam.
Indriya gocharatitam.
Avishaya janitam ityarthaha.
Avishaya janitam ityarthaha.
So this is something which is not vishaya janitam. Vishaya we know. Vishaya is an object. Vishaya janita means that which is born out of, that which is caused by, that which is caused by that happiness. Vishaya janitam anandam is different. This is buddhi grahyam. This is something different. Buddhi grahyam atindriyam indriya gocharatitam. It is beyond the perception or cognition of the senses. Cognition by the senses. And then avishaya janitam. It is not born out of the vishayas. Not by enjoying the vishayas. Enjoying the vishaya is something which is totally different. Then vetti tad idrusham sukham anubhavati yatra yasmin kale nachaiva ayam vidvan atmaswarupe sthitah tasmat naiva chalati tatvatah tatvaswarupat na pratyavate ityarthah. So every word is explaining. Vetti. Vetti means anubhavati. Vetti usually means knows. Here vetti tat idrusham sukham anubhavati. So this yogi, he is in that state of happiness. He is in that state of ananda, where he has discarded all other vrittis, all other chitta vrittis he has discarded, and he is in that state of Brahmananda. Then Veti tat idrusham sukham anubhavati. Idrusham means this type of. Idrusham sukham anubhavati. He enjoys. He is in that state. Enjoys means there is no question of enjoyer and the enjoyed. Here again we have to be very careful. The problem with the teaching of Vedanta is we have to be very careful with words. When I say enjoys, that means there is a fellow who is enjoying and there is Ananda which is being enjoyed. Vishayananda is something which is being enjoyed. But he is the very Ananda shape, Ananda itself. He is in that state of happiness. He is not enjoying anything. He is the happiness himself. Like he is awareness himself, he is happiness himself. So that is how we have to understand it. So yatra sukham anubhavati, he is in that state of Ananda. Then yatra yasmin kale, that is at a time when nacha eva ayam, nacha eva na connects with the something else. Nachaiva ayam means vidwan. Vidwan means a realized person, a jnani. Jnani atmaswarupe sthitaha. Yatra sthitaha, the word sthita is there in the second line. You see, veti yatra nachaiva ayam sthitas chalati tatvatah. Sthitaha means one who is stationed. Where sthitaha means what is this? Atmaswarupe sthitaha. He is in that state of Atma Swarupa. He is in that state of Atma Chaitanya. Then from that, Tasmat, the Tasmat means from that, Naiva Chalati. That Na plus Eva comes here. Naiva Chalati. He does not move. What does it mean? Tattvataha. Tattvataha means from that Tattva Swarupat. So he is in that state of Tattva. Tattva is what? Brahma Tattva. He is in that Brahma Tattva. And from that Brahma state of Brahma Tattva, he does not move. He does not move means he does not slip away. The word you used here is na prachyavati. So from that state of Brahman awareness, there is no question of slipping. He does not slip away. He does not come back to the say normal world to enjoy the sensory pleasures. So he has gone beyond that state where he will again come back and enjoy these sensory pleasures. So that is the meaning here. Then buddhi grahyam atindriyam. Madhusudana Saraswati writes one more. He has written a lot more, but I will read one line only. Rajaha tamo malarahitaya sattvamatra vahinya grahyam sukham. That is, this sukham is something, this is which is not having even an iota of rajas and tamas. Rajoguna and Tamoguna, not even an iota are there. Sattvamatra vahinya, only the Sattva guna is there. Sattvamatra vahinya, that Sattvam only can say understand that state of happiness. Then Grahyam, that Buddhi Grahyam means that Buddhi, Antahkarana, is in the state of pure Sattva. This Rajas and Tamas have totally disappeared, and in that particular state, he comes into that state of happiness. Let us not say he enjoys, he gets into that state of happiness, he gets into that Swarupa Ananda, he is in his own Ananda. That is what we have seen earlier also, Atmaratihi, Atmatruptaha, Atmaramaha, those words we have come across earlier. Then Kincha, next line, next shloka, Yam labdhva cha param labham manyate nadhikam tataha yasmin sthito na dukkhena guruna api vichalyate. So, yam labdhva cha aparam labham manyate na adhikam tataha. Very simple words. We have to connect the right word with the where na has to be connected, where cha has to be connected. We have to see. Yam labdhva cha aparam labham na adhikam manyate. So, having attained this state, yam labdhva, by obtaining which, yam labdhva means by obtaining which, aparam labham, any other labham. Labham means gain, something which is attained, some attainment, let us say, some gain or some attainment or some benefit, whatever it is. Aparam labham na adhikam manyate. So where is the comparison for a gain? Suppose you have got $1 million. There is somebody who is having 10 millions, there is somebody who is having 1 billion, there is somebody having 100 billions. So something like that, there is no comparison. So for everything, there is something which is more. No, but here this Atma Labha is something which is incomparable to any all these things. No other Labha can be compared to this. So that is it. Yam Labdva, having attained this Atma, having understood this Atma Ananda, then Aparam Labham na adhikam manyate. For this man, even if you give some billions of rupees, he doesn't want it. He doesn't want it. That is the stage. In fact, there are people like that. Not say we should not dismiss it because we have say there are definitely people like that who do not want, and then who's say totally who have kept their mind under control. So yam labdva cha aparam labham na adhikam manyate tataha adhikam manyate. So beyond this Brahma, these people, they don't accept, they do not consider any other thing, any other gain as something which is superior to this thing. Aparam labham na adhikam manyate. Then yasmin sthitaha, and by staying in that, na dukkhena guruna api vichalyate. And even by greatest calamity, even by greatest say dukkha means some distress, let us say, distress or calamity or some unfortunate thing, even by that, na vichalyate. Na vichalyate means he will not be shaken. Vichalati is active voice, he moves or shakes. Na vichalyate means he is not shaken. That is in a karmani prayoga, or which is called passive voice. Na vichalyate, he doesn't get moved, he doesn't get say shaken from his position, because he is in that state of ananda. He has come out of all these say desires and all this web, or all the whole matrix of say these desires. So this shloka, we have seen the words yam labdhva means having obtained, cha aparam labham na adhikam manyate tataha adhikam na manyate. That is, beyond that he does not consider any other thing as any other superior gain, any other greater gain. And yasmin sthitaha, and by staying in which dukkhena gurunapi, this is in Tritiya Vibhakti. Even by greatest calamity, even by greatest say distress, na vichalyate, he is not shaken. So that is the meaning, that is the shloka here. Yam labdhva, yam atmalabham labdhva, prapya cha aparam anyat labhantaram tato adhikam asti iti na manyate na chintayati. So a person who is having this atma labha, one who has attained that atman awareness, one who is in that state of atman awareness, he does not consider anything else as superior, something superior to what he has gained. Kincha means moreover, yam labdhva, by obtaining which, yam atmalabham labdhva. What is that atmalabham? Then prapya aparam anyat labhantaram. Aparam means something else, labhantaram, some other profit. Tataha adhikam asti iti na manyate. He does not consider it as something which is greater than this atmalabham. Na chintayati. Kincha yasmin atmatatve sthitaha dukkhena shastra nipatadi lakshanena guruna mahata api na vichalyate. So kincha, moreover, yasmin atmatatve sthitaha, by staying in that atma tattva, by being in by having realized in that atma, having realized that atma tattva, then dukkhena na vichalyate. That is, he will not be shaken by any other dukkha or distress. What type of dukkha? Shastra nipatadi lakshanena. Even if somebody goes and hits him with some weapon, shastra nipata means hitting, fall. So nipata actually means fall. Shastra nipatadi lakshanena. Some weapon comes and falls on him. Some weapon touches him. So that type of thing. Shastra hitting, somebody hits him with a weapon. So shastra nipatadi lakshanena guruna. Even if it is a great thing, guruna means mahata. Guru means mahat, great. Even if it is a great calamity, he is not vichalyate. Because we find in Vedanta, some extreme examples are given. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire, nayam hanti na hanyate. It is not as though killing is what is prescribed. When Gita talks about this is something which is neither killed nor the killer. Then again in Kathopanishad also we say, hanta chet manyate hantum, hataschet manyate hatam visa. If the person who wants to attack thinks that he is killing it, or if the person who is hit thinks that Atma is getting killed. So these extreme examples are given not not in the context of war or anything. It is being given only to illustrate the point. When a biggest thing itself is not applicable, small thing is just not applicable. Even a biggest thing like Hananam is not applicable. So small action will not be applicable. So that is why these extreme examples are given in Vedanta. So I think if the time is over, we'll stop here. We will go to the next shloka in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.